good afternoon, everyone. It is 3:30 and we are going ahead and getting started. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for How Do I All Things Schoolnet, our first attempt at doing a live session like this with interaction from you guys. So we appreciate you being with us today. My name is Rebecca Stokes. I am the product manager for Schoolnet with NCDPI, and we have the wonderful Catherine Simone here with us today as well. Catherine, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Catherine Simone from Pearson, Implementation Manager for Schoolnet. Nice to see
And
all you today.
we are so excited to have her with us. So I've already put the bit.ly for today's session in the chat. I'm going to continue to paste it in there every few minutes just for anyone new that is joining us. We'll be able to have access to it. It is on the screen right now, so don't worry if I flip over. I will be putting it into the chat, okay? All right, so we already did our introductions. Catherine, will Amanda be joining us?
I'm not sure if she's available with the switch in time. I didn't see her log
Okay,
in, so.
no problem at all. Um, Not a problem, but me and you got this. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so here is our agenda for today. We're going to answer your questions. Um, so pretty simple. We're here to answer anything that you have been wondering in Schoolnet. We did send out a survey to those that had registered for our original session, which I do apologize for. I woke up sick that morning, so I was not able to have it that day. So I appreciate you and your patience with us rescheduling it to today. So we do have some questions already built into the slide deck, but we do want to encourage you to put your questions in the chat as well. WebEx is not going to allow for unmuting, but you can put those in the chat and we're going to be monitoring those. So if we do not cover your question, please make sure that you put it in the chat. And since this is a 1-hour webinar, we are going to cover as much as we possibly can in that hour, but it might be that we end up having to have another one of these sessions if we aren't able to get to all of those questions. So we'll kind of go from there. All right, so first thing is CEU questions for anyone that has not been in one of our webinars before. So if you are in the live session with us today, you do get zero point 0.1 CEUs, which is equivalent to 1 hour of credit that you will receive via email from myself, usually 2 to 3 days after the session. With that CEU certificate, you will then turn it into your district for them to determine what type of credit it is going to be determined to be. So that is determined by your district, but you will receive that as well as a recording of this webinar and the slide deck in that email. If you have anyone that is not able to make this session, they are welcome to watch it. It will be on our YouTube channel and the Schoolnet playlist, but unfortunately we cannot give CEUs for watching the recorded webinar, only if you are here with us in the live session. During the session, like I said, just use the chat to be able to put your questions in. You can send it to everyone so that everyone sees your question, or if you have something specific, you can just direct it to Catherine or myself. But we do encourage you to put it in the chat for everyone to see because it might be that they have that same question as well. All right, and we are going to be in the training site today. So we do have a login for you with the bit.ly to the presentation. You can go to slide 6, and this bit.ly link right here is going to take you to the Schoolnet training site, and we have a login for you as a teacher, and that is the password. If you would like to test out any of the things that we are showing you, you can do that in the training site without fear of doing anything within your live site. And again, that is on page 6 of the slide deck. All right, so we're going to get started just with some questions that we had received prior to this. And the first one is starting off with how to embed a Desmos calculator, which actually comes up quite a lot. I've gone over this frequently the past few sessions that I've done being in school. So we are going to start with that. But again, please put your questions in the chat so that if you have something that maybe wasn't asked previously, then we can definitely make sure to get that covered. And Catherine, do I have to stop sharing? I always forget. Do I have to stop sharing for you to be able to? Oh, it does say share.
For the Desmos calculator, I'm going to bring up the directions for that
Okay.
because that's going to be a little bit more of a process and we're going to need a test and everything. So I know we have that listed first, but let me share my screen. Let me cut my video so that I can.
Yes, I was just about to say, we are going to cut our video just because of it taking up bandwidth. So we are still here, but and you'll be able to hear us. We're just going to cut our video until the very end.
So for the first sharing screen in that PowerPoint, if you click on the link, it's going to give you the directions. Essentially, it's going to give you the code for embedding the Desmos calculator. When I start creating a test, I'll show you where to place the code, but I wanted
And
to make
Catherine, if you are speaking, I know
sure.
I cannot hear you, so I'm not sure.
Oh, can you hear me now? No?
You can hear. Okay, so then it's just me. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Um, let me go back a minute. When you click on the link, these are the full set of directions. It is not adding the Desmos calculator to each item, which I'm going to show you in a minute. It's just embedding it. So I'm going to leave this up. And when I get to the part of adding items, I will make sure that you see where this little embed code link is that I'm sharing on my screen now. Okay. Um, Let me switch my screen and make sure that you can see. Hold on. Okay, can you see my Schoolnet screen right now? Just checking.
Yes.
Okay, and you can hear me now.
And I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's go back to that. So I sorted out the questions that came in the survey, and I'm going to start with all the questions that pertain to creating assessment, scheduling assessment, using the item bank, because it will be an easier flow through and a little bit more economical on time. So a lot of the questions stemmed from creating, adding items, scheduling, and printing assessments. So I'm going to work on that first. I am logged in as that teacher in the home-based training site. Over here to the left, I'm going to go to assessments, and real quick, I'm going to jump to the item bank because a couple of questions stemmed from seeing Spanish items or not seeing Spanish items. And I just want to show you one quick checkbox. So when you're in assessments, items, rubrics, and passages, you're going to item banks. And it's kind of tiny, so you may not have noticed it before, but there is a box that says search this bank when building a test. So I've already pre-deselected it so that Spanish items do not come up when I search for a test. And we have some edited Desmos questions there, so I'll get those and show you those with the test. But you can see ones that have been unchecked for the search. So just to make that clear that that's the first thing. If you want to work on a specific item bank, you can check it. So back to assessments, tests, find, or create, sorry, my mistake. Create, we're going to go to manual. Okay. And when I click manual test, this is the screen where we start the test. You'll see all this if you're following along in the PowerPoint, but I am going to call this Schoolnet webinar sample. Okay. And you would choose a subject. I'm just going to leave it at math for now. Choose a grade level. You can do a grade span if you're working in high school. And you would choose a standards document. So we're going to focus on the math for now. As a teacher, I only get the option of my classroom test, but if I were an administrator, I would have a school level assessment. And if I'm a district person, I would have a district level assessment. Okay. As I scroll down, you are going to see I have item defaults here. Okay. And I can leave things set at the item level, or I can choose to set it for the test itself. The way the answer choices present themselves, tools I want enabled. So if I want to enable tools for the whole test, I'm just going to throw these in here, all in here, so I can demonstrate them right there. If I want to do a formula sheet, I can upload it here. Test settings. You can allow students to comment at the end of the test, capture comments, etc. These are the accommodations, and we'll talk about that. If a student has their PMP enabled, this is where you want to enable the accommodations for the test. Also, if you want to print the test, you need to make sure all of these boxes are checked. And you can have no restrictions or choose any restrictions you would like for the test. If you are working with a colleague, you can choose to co-author it. I am not going to co-author it this time, only because I am focusing on the question of generating the test. When I'm finished with all my settings, I'm going to go down to the bottom right, choose test. For this demonstration, I'm going to use items from the item bank. So when I click that option,
And Catherine, can I pause you for just a second?
absolutely.
So we had a question come in that would be at this exact moment. So
Yes.
that's why I wanted to go ahead and pause you. So someone is asking, like, when you are choosing questions like you are about to do, is there a way to save your filter settings when you are searching for questions, because their subject area always seems to be put by default something that they don't teach? So is there a way to save the filter settings?
I'm assuming you mean at the beginning when you're creating a manual test. No, at that point there is not. What happens when I'm in the item bank, whatever subject I chose on that create the test screen appears here in the item bank. And if I set further filters here, if I only want to choose the Desmos one, let's say I want to choose the math sets. Once I start selecting items, it will take me back to these filters. But not in the beginning, there is not, unfortunately. So CTE folks, is that what we're talking about here? Mass
Um,
communications?
Yeah, I would say it just said that it was defaulting to mass communication. So it sounds like the best way is to start by building the assessment first, and because then it will filter by all of the things that you had already selected with subject and grade level and things.
Correct. Correct. Okay. So what I did was I selected two banks here. I already had it defaulted to my subject math, to my grade level, fourth grade. If I want to narrow it down further, I can choose the standards. So if I want to focus on number and operations, I can choose these. And it will further actually reduce the number of items because I'm putting more filters in there. So let's at this point pick a couple items. so I can demonstrate. Okay. You know what? I want those three Desmos ones, so I'm gonna get rid of my. Get rid of this filter because I want to see those Desmos items real quick. Grab those. I thought there were three of them, right, in the bank? No. It says three. Oh, might not be third grade math. It might be. Let's see. There we go. It's 10th grade math. We're going to have a mixed up test, folks. Let's grab this one so you can see this and go back and pick another third grade item, fourth grade item. Bank. Oh my goodness, I'm making a mess of this. I'm so sorry, folks. Let me get these in the test. So I'm going to select these just so you can see them real quick. Once I choose the items I want, which probably will take longer than I just mix that up, I apologize. This screen is the creation screen. From here, I can edit anything about the questions. I am going to have the option to change the answer choices, add more answer choices. But let's see if this person put this calculator in here. So I want to show you the directions that I first had shown you on the Word document. Down here on the edit screen, you're going to see the embed source code. When you click this, this is where you would be pasting. Let me go back and grab that real quick. Copy that from that other document, and I'm going to put this right down here. Save it. And let's see if I can get it to work. Preview. When I preview an item, this is the way it should look for the student. So hopefully I put that in there the right way. Don't think I did. It did not. I'm so sorry. It did not go in the right way. I should have played with that one a little bit before. I'm sorry, Rebecca. I have not used the Desmos calculator before. Let me go back to, I will get you some more information on that one. I apologize. Once you create the manual test, you can always go back to that person's question from the bank. And my pre-saved, I had changed mine around a lot, but my pre-saved selections will be there. And I can choose more items if I decide to. I can use the additional filters down here. So if I'm only looking for multiple choice or I'm only looking for open response items, I can apply the filters here. And then choose a few more items.
And I can help you with that, Desmos. It was a simple, you just forgot the iframe part in the source
Oh,
code.
did I not copy it all the way?
It's on a different line on that document. You just started with the source code. So that was all.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Let me,
No, you're good.
so go here. And where did I put it? So just copy the whole thing again.
Just make sure you get that iframe that's beside the title, like for function or scientific or graphing, whichever one
Oh,
you're grabbing.
I'm sorry. In the beginning, I missed it. That was what I did. Sorry about that. I didn't even see that up there. Okay, so what I missed copying is this initial iframe. Sorry about that. Going here, and I think I got it this time. Thank you. Little copy and paste error. But there we have the Desmos calculator from the Word document. At this point, I'm going to say, okay, I'm making a little quiz. I'm ready to go. Here's my test. And just returned two test details up here. You can always select more. You can change anything about the items if you like. And I think we've throughout attached different QRCs instructions for this. But this screen is called the test details page. And what I want you to note on this page is one, you have a title. Up until the point of finalizing, you can change the title if you like. You have a test ID. If you're having a problem with the test and you ask for help from any of us or you put in a ServiceNow case, you need to try to keep track of these IDs. It's super helpful for us to find them, find your test, and help you fix it if we have this ID. Okay, so just to point that out, this particular test is still in draft form. We can see the standards that it's aligned to. We can look at the item details if we want. And here in the test settings, you saw when I created the test, I put no restrictions. I added all this functionality. Here is where you can edit that if you want to. You can change the name, etc. And downloads and resources is where I know this was one of the questions from our survey. This is where you can print the test booklet. You can either download it as a PDF or as a Word doc, along with downloading the answer key. So what this little warning notice is letting us know is that because I put all the bells and whistles in this test, the protractor, the ruler, it's letting me know that some of those images aren't going to present clearly in the Word doc. So if your intention is to print the test, you may want to remove these. All right. So I just want to make sure that you see that there. Any questions? I can't see the chat at this point, Rebecca.
Oh, you're good. I'm monitoring it. There
Okay.
hasn't been any additional ones, no.
All right. So from this point, what I am going to do is I'm going to schedule this test. Okay. Um, Before I do, I want to just show you real quick. I'm going to copy this ID. Let's just say I started the test, I log out, and I log back in the next day and I need to find the test. I go to assessments. If I am the creator of the test, I can go to my assessment dashboard and I can search by recently viewed, and there is my Schoolnet webinar test. If I jot it down the ID, and let's just say for some reason I can't find it, I can go to find and I can paste my ID here, hit go, and there is my test. This lets me know that the test is not public yet, it's not scheduled, there's no start date, and there's no passcode. I'm going to go back to the test and I am going to take care of that to make sure that we get this scheduled. I'm going to hit finalize. It says, are you sure? Did you check it? I did. I'm going to schedule the test. Put a start date in. I'm just going to randomly pick dates here. And there are restrictions. If I want to, I can apply them. If not, I'm going to select my assignment. And as this teacher, I have these classes. So I'm going to send this off to my math class. I can hit save. If you are an admin, you don't get to see the sections, but you get to see, for instance, Algebra 1 or 8th grade math or English 1. So you would be assigning it to courses in your school. Okay. Um, the passcode for the test is right there. If your district is using Secure Tester, you can select that here. Um, you can restrict access to the test for dates and times. I can track. Why is it not letting me click in the screen? Why is it doing that? I can track and display the student response times, and that comes up in the item analysis. I can scramble question order, or I can make it a time test. Please be advised, if you make a time test and the time runs out, it automatically submits all the students' tests. Whatever you select here, I can set these as my options as my personal template, so that it is saved all my selections for the next time if I want. I'm not going to do that because a lot of people use this account. But then I'm going to hit save and publish. And you can see at this point that my text to speech is being generated. Up here in the top right, I'm going to get a notification that lets me know when the test is ready. If I want to make a copy of the test here, I can. But I'm going to let that publish for a minute. And I am just going to go back because the next thing on the list was the item banks. While that's publishing, I'll take you back to that test in a minute. So in the item banks, I just want to point out a few of these real quick. We have 2 Certica banks. In the production site, it's a little different. This site is, like I said, the training site, and we copied it down. So there's a lot less numbers of items in here. But the Certica Bank has the Certica Bank, and the Schoolnet Item Bank has TEI items. So if you're looking for technology enhanced items, they would be found in these 2 banks. If you are looking for Spanish items written in Spanish language for your students, they would be found here in these banks. The Desmos Bank is just a sample bank. That is not in the production site. NCCTE unsecured items, if you are high school and you are looking for items for your courses, they would be found there. Please note, not all CTE courses have items. If I say this wrong, Rebecca, let me know. If it's the first year of the course, they don't add items to
I
the
think
item.
it's actually the first 2 years
Oh, okay.
of the course.
Okay, good thing. Thank you for letting me know.
And if it is a where they have to produce something to demonstrate mastery, there won't be any questions for those courses either.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying. We have a math sets bank. This is DPI items. A classroom bank, also DPI items, and a release bank, DPI items. You won't see a final bank here because I'm logged in as a teacher. But if you are an admin, you would see an NCDPI benchmark bank. Okay. So just to let you know that those are the items that are available in the item banks. And I think my test is ready. So I am going to jump back there real quick. So remember, from my home screen, I went to assessments, find, or assessment dashboard. I just want you to note the notification screen up here that says that the test Schoolnet webinar sample has been successfully published. So as a teacher, because I scheduled this as a teacher, I can look for my test over here, or if I am ready to give this to my students, I can just scroll down here a bit. Let me change it because I assigned it to my math class. And if I scroll down here to my classroom assessment monitor, I can go to test management. And of course, there's a lot of tests in here, right? Let me see my classroom tests. Come on. That's what I love about the training site. It's good, but it's also more difficult to navigate for me. If it doesn't pop up straight up on the screen, because there are a lot of tests in here, I'm going to go to the assessment dashboard, which was over here where I showed you. And I am going to grab my Schoolnet test. And what I want to show you is over here on the right, okay, this is where my students' usernames and passwords are. So I'm going to click this box, that link, and these are all my scrambled students. But all the way down here at the bottom, there's a print username button. If you click that, it's a pop-up and it gives you a printable page where you can strip essentially tickets for the students to log in. Now, if you've not used this or administered a test before, please note the students' usernames and passwords don't change. So if they took a test in someone else's class, they've already logged in and it's accessible. What does change is the passcode for the test. So each test has a unique passcode, which is right here. What I'm going to do, if you humor me for a minute, and I just want to grab my Safari. So I'm going to log in as a student so you can see exactly what this looks like. So here, I'm just going to copy this student's name, username, I should say. And Rebecca.
While you're doing that, I was just going to say something really quick.
Oh,
After you schedule a test as a teacher in your live site, it will be in the scheduled phase, whereas ours, as you can see, is in that green completed. Because in the testing site, we are living in the past. We are in the year 21, 22. So yours would not say completed until the window was completed. So just wanted to make note of that difference.
good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Can you see my Safari screen? I just want to make sure.
No, we are
No, I
still
can see it.
viewing
You
your
see it?
username screen.
Okay, let me reshare, stop sharing, screen, share. Now can you see two screens?
Yes.
Ah, great. Okay, so just to cheat for the presentation, I opened a Safari browser just so that I can have two different browsers because I can't log in as the teacher and the student from the same browser. So let me grab that student username, grab that, put that here. And in the training site, everyone's passcode is home base. Log in as that student. And what I'm going to do, so this is student 11507. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get the passcode. And this student is going to log into this test. Okay, I'm going to hit go. And you see my class pop up, and I'm going to start the test. Allow pop-ups. Always does this to me. Safari, I should have known this better. I think I'm going to have to log in as the other one because it's not going to let me. I'm sorry. Let me just. I can get it right. Okay. Student's test pops up, just like in the preview. This is how they are seeing it. Remember, I messed up the first Desmos calculator, but here we are on the third one, the Desmos calculator. What I want to point out here is a couple of things. I had enabled text to speech. This particular student has their PMP enabled. So here is the text to speech. All the tools that I enabled for this test, the rulers, the protractor, calculators other than the Desmos calculator. Normally you would not enable all this, but just want to show you that. There's answer eliminator choice available to the students, a notepad so they can do a little scratch writing, okay, a magnifier if the student needs it, where they can zoom in over the words, and then a line reader if needed. Okay, so I've got all the bells and whistles in this test. The student can advance the test and submit their final answers here. Okay, so I'm going to submit as a student even though I didn't answer all the questions. And then I'm going to go back to my teacher because I want to make sure that you see what goes on with this test. So as the teacher, back here in my test details page, I can see that one student of 18 has submitted. I can see the start and end dates. Over here to the right, I see my Proctor dashboard. If I click on that, I'm going to see that student 11507 started the test. They submitted the test at the exact time. And if I want them to go back, I can resume the test here. If I want to score it, I can click on this. And this is the score page for this particular student. Okay. So just to full circle that, what it looks like for the teacher, what it looks like for the student, and when the student logs in, what they're seeing there, how the teacher can get back to the test to resume it. And this is pretty much laid out in the slides, so I just wanted to make sure that you were aware from the training site where each piece is found. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment because that was a big run through of starting a test, creating it, scheduling it, and administering it for questions.
There has not been any put in the chat. I am still monitoring it, but no new questions have been added to the chat.
Okay. Before we switch gears, can you think of anything that we missed on that one?
When I was looking through, I was about to say the Proctor dashboard, but you covered that. Just clicking through to make sure, because like you said, it was, there is one thing that is in the presentation that you are not, oh, hold on, I'm going to pause myself because somebody just put in a question. Is there an option to end a test in the Proctor dashboard? I'm assuming if a student started it but did not finish within the window and you want to go ahead and like submit the test, John, I think is that, am I
Okay.
correct in understanding that?
Okay.
Yes,
So
okay.
so from this, let's go back to the easiest way to navigate in my mind is from the test details page. If you click this score button here, so let's just say this was my student, they took the test and they did submit it. The next student in line, they didn't start the test. So let's artificially start the test for the student. Okay. I'm going to just click through. All right. So when this page refreshes, it says the test has been started but not submitted. So this is what you would normally see. You probably wouldn't need to start it for the student. But let's just say student 11515 started the test, but they didn't finish. So at this point, I can go to the score page, and I can click submit pending test. And it's going to give me a warning. But if I say okay, and I refresh this page, takes like 30 seconds. Um, Now this particular student's test has been submitted. So TestNav is basically the platform that launches the test. Secure Tester needs to be installed on your devices from your IT department. What Secure Tester does, and let me go back and just demonstrate this real quick. So if I preview this as a student, basically I'm in here previewing it, but you can see I can move the screen, I can go to another browser, I can look stuff up while I'm taking this test. If if Secure Tester has been administered, then this particular screen, when the student logs in, is locked. It takes up the full screen and they don't have the ability to go anyplace else until they either submit the test or log out. Okay. So that's the difference between Secure Tester and TestNav. All the tests are administered in TestNav, but Secure Tester is an option that's given basically your IT department needs to um, install that on your devices.
And I just want to say one thing about Secure Tester. If you are wanting to use Secure Tester, then you want to make sure that your students do not use QR codes to log into their rapid identity
Mm.
because it will block the camera because it literally locks down everything, including the camera for scanning those QR codes. And if you are wanting to use Desmos calculator with Secure Tester, you want to make sure that you embed that calculator because they cannot open a separate window to have that Desmos calculator open. So just two little caveats about Secure Tester.
Yep. And if you use Chromebooks, it needs to be pushed out from the server. So there's you know a little bit more. It's more involved to get it installed, basically. Not that it's not usable. It's just a little bit more than just logging in and scheduling the test, like I've shown you here. Okay. Let me see.
So, Catherine, what I was saying was that there is something that we can't show in the training site since we
Yes.
do not have a grade book synced with here, since it is obviously a fake site. But we did have a question about syncing your assessment or your grade to Power Teacher Pro, and that is in the slide deck. It's starting on page 32 of the slide deck, but also in the test creation, which is on page, let me get to it. Looks like 21. So slide deck pages 21 and then 32 will show you how you can sync your assessment to sync to your Power Teacher Pro gradebook. We cannot show it to you live because this does not have a gradebook assigned to it. So just didn't want you to think that we skipped that.
Nope. Good. Thank you. I was on that slide. I just didn't. Good. Okay.
So I think just going back to the item banks was the only thing that we skipped over in the beginning.
Oh, okay. When I did the search for it, I showed the filters. Do you want me to go back over them or?
The only thing that you did not, yes, Serena, of course, we are going to send out an email with the recording, this slide deck, and your CEU certificate. The only thing is just showing the grouping the ELA passages. I think that in
Oh,
the standards
right.
were the only two parts that
Okay.
didn't get covered.
Gotcha. Okay. So if I am searching the item banks, just this screen you saw before. I was using math, but let's switch it up to ELA, and I'm going to deselect the other ones. Whoops. Come on, you can do it. I will leave the grades there. I keep getting more than one. Okay. So I have ELA. I've selected my grades. If I am looking for passages with items, the best way to do that is once you're in the item bank, whether you've come in through a test or you've come in just to the item bank, there's a button up here that says find and group items by passage. If you click that, you are now going to see the passages, and right below the passage, you're going to see how many items are linked to this passage. At this point, if I'm adding this passage, I've read the passage, Johnny Cake, English Tale. I have decided I want to use this one. I can either read the items individually and select them, or I can choose to select all. But please note, there's a lot here. So if you are selecting all, okay, you're going to get a lot there. But let's just say I do that. I can then, right here at the bottom right, item actions, add to test. And now I can either create a new test up here, which is going to take me to that beginning page, or I can look for my test from before. Oh, what happened? Did I log out as somebody else? Should have saved that number. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I don't know the number. Sorry. That's why I don't like to use the titles, because they're hard to find later. I'll create a new one. It should pop up. The training site is a little wonky sometimes when you're trying to demonstrate, and there's a lot of different things in there. Remind me, Rebecca, to pick an obscure teacher the next time. So if I
Will
create,
do, because this is always my default teacher too.
I know it is, and I see a lot of your stuff. I see a lot of my stuff. I'm thinking next time we should create a new teacher
Yes.
for ourselves. Oh, what did I do? I did something wrong. Sorry. Let me start again. Let me go back and get my test, because I think that will make my life. Oh, because that test is scheduled already. Sorry. You get that error message. The reason I got it is I forgot I had scheduled that test, and I was trying to go back to it, and I can't go back to that particular test. If you have it repeatedly, that error message, for another reason, if you could get someone to open up a case for you so that we can investigate it. But we even need your test ID, etc., and the click path that you were using. Let me just go back and grab this. What I didn't demonstrate on that last one was what Rebecca said. I picked ELA, I picked third grade. I'm going to group by passages, but I'm also going to pick that I want passages that have a particular standard. So if I am looking for, let's just say I'm looking for informational and determining central ideas in informational, okay? So I'm going to pick this one, save and close. And now I see I have Ryan's Well, and there's only 9 items, so I'm going to select all. Hopefully I can get that test to create, and I don't get so when I created a new test, I'm going to call this my passage test. I didn't get the error message that time, so I'm thinking it was because I chose the wrong test the last time. I could still do all my restrictions, same thing, generate the test. And now I have my passage, Ryan's Well, and the 9 questions that go along with it. Return to test details, save the changes, and I'm back where I started with that one. Okay, did I cover that for that one, Rebecca?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I'm looking, and we have 9 minutes left.
You know,
Ugh.
I'm going to jump
Um,
into teacher reporting. How about that?
yeah, so we've got teacher reporting and accommodations left
Okay.
for putting those in the PNP,
Okay.
and co-teacher access. So man, three big topics
Okay.
in nine,
Well, I
9 minutes.
gave my Schoolnet schedule test and other tests, but I want to find the results. So as a teacher, I can scroll down to that classroom assessment monitor and look there, or I can go right up here to reporting dashboard. Okay. And at this point, this is me, teacher 2578. Here's my reading class. Okay. And my school. Here's all my test results. Good thing other people use this one. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to randomly pick. Here's this one, 3rd grade chunked fiction passage 2. 18 students submitted this test. So this will be a good one to look at for the teacher. When I click on this test, the first thing I see is the summary page. Okay. Gives me all my students, the date they submitted, the average score, their proficiency, and their score group. Across the top here, I have the summary for the test. Okay, it tells me there were 6 items on the test, 3 standards, 18 students submitted it. Each of these tabs is a different report. So I have test summary, standards analysis, the 3 standards aligned. It shows me a graph of the performance for each standard. And then as I scroll down, I can see each of my students and their performance on the standard. I can sort low to high, high to low for each column. Okay. And I can see the overall there. The student analysis report. This takes a minute to generate, but it's basically a spreadsheet for the students. Students will be lined up on the left and their scores, etc. In the interest of time, I'm going to click to the item analysis. See if I can get that to generate. Oh, let me reload my page because now my page is frozen. Cool. There we go. And the student analysis page loaded. So I have my students, their ID, their special ed. We don't pull special ed, but race, subgroup categories, and scores. Next one is the item analysis. And for this one, I like this report in particular because when this loads, you're going to see each student, each item on the test, how the students performed, the standard analysis, the standards alignment, and then you can sort by the performance on that one. Of course, that's going to take a minute too. The standards mastery report, I'm going to talk through this, actually groups my students by each standard. Okay. So I like those. If I have multiple tests aligned to the same, can I see how a student's average on a standard using all of the tests? Where we would see that in the trends report. There's also if I go back here to my home page, there's a comparison report. I like to use that one a little bit better than the trends report. My page is freezing. I love my teams. Force this out of here. Okay, back to my teacher. So if I'm on the reporting dashboard page, if to that last question, what I would probably do to see the students' performance, I'm hoping that these chunk nonfiction are all the same standards. So I'm gonna pick all of these. I'm guessing here. So I picked 4 tests, and I'm going to assume all my students all took these. I hit compare assessment down here on the right, and I can look at the average score, the raw score, the student's proficient, or the score group. But when I generate the report, okay, this is the overall score, but what I like to do is switch the tab here to the standards comparison, and then I can view it by average score, raw score, students proficient, or score groups. I can look at the standard level. Okay. You can see the various standard levels. So now it looks like 4 work the best for those 4 tests. So I have 2 tests that were aligned to 3.3. But when I scroll down, okay, what I can do is pick a particular standard. Let's see, this one has a lot of tests. And I get to see my students' performance based on that standard across however many tests I chose. I'm going to tell you the way this screen looks like. I overloaded it. When I picked the report, if you're only looking for average or raw score, when you generate the report, you can see here where it says score, raw score, proficient, score group. You can deselect the checks, and then it won't be so large. And we could just do the score per average, okay? And there's a report QRC that kind of describes the ins and outs of this a little bit better. Unfortunately, I'm rushing through it. Sorry. But great question. Thank you for asking. So from the dashboard, just to reiterate, I get to pick a lot of different reports from here. Basically, I can compare multiple tests. Just to remind you, there's the checkbox there. You can use these sort filters if I only want to look at my classroom tests, or if I only want to look at district tests, etc., or school level tests. If it helps if you sort it by, obviously, by subject. Since I'm the teacher here, if I only want to look at the reading, I can sort those tests, etc. What was the other thing? I'm sorry, Rebecca, I'm trying to run through that. Oh, the student profile, yes. So as a teacher on my dashboard, I can go right to student reports here, and here's my student list. I can click on any student, and this is the student profile. The very last tab says TestNav PMP. When you click on that, you see that this child has text-to-speech enabled. But if that needs to change, I can change whatever I want about this. Or I could have deselected text-to-speech. But this particular screen, boxes need to be checked, and the settings need to be saved before this, before this student will be able to receive these accommodations on the test. So remember when I showed you the sample test and I said, here's text to speech? That means this box was checked for my student. If it's not checked, the student won't have access to the text to speech. So I really want to overemphasize that piece of it. What was the last thing? Co-teacher?
Yeah, I'll say the last thing was co-teacher access.
Okay. So I'm a teacher. I share a class. Let's just say I push into another class with another teacher. Up here on the top right, my account and sections and rosters. And we do have directions for this, but all the way at the bottom, not very intuitive. I will give you that. There's this button that says click here. If I click here, I can search the last name of the teacher whose class I am pushing into. Okay, so I'm just going to search by Rebecca. I know she doesn't have any classes, but you put in the name and it will find the classes and you can select them and save them. That's also something I can't replicate in the training site, but what you can do is follow those directions. One thing you do need to know with that is if you request access to a section, someone with admin rights needs to approve that. And on slide 45, there are two links there, one for co-teacher access to section directions and one for the admins to approve directions. The previous PMP enabling is on slide 44, okay? And there are multiple slides on the reporting features. Whew. Okay, what do I
Oh, take a breath, Catherine. I know you did great at 4:32.
we
Um,
never have enough time. Sorry.
let's see. Does the co-teacher work within the district or only within the school? So, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, but I think the co-teacher would need to be within that school to gain access to those sections. Correct?
Ye- So, um, that's throwing up a red flag. If the teacher works within the district and they're in your classroom in school A, wouldn't they be associated with school A in Power School as well?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm guessing it's kind of a mute point with the question. I think they would be accessible because if they're coming into that section, they're probably somehow already associated with the school that you're in.
Right. Yeah.
They may have multiple schools that they're associated with. And if that happens on,
Oh, I see. Oh, so you were thinking of sharing a test. Okay. So the thing with the
oh, that's different.
co-author
Yeah, yeah.
or with the co-teacher, that's actually giving them access to all of your data as well. So if you're just looking at sharing a test, you would not want to do a co-teacher. You would want to do um, a co-author folder or co-author on the assessment, whereas the co-teacher is giving them access to all of your assessments and all of your data because they are a co-teacher within that classroom with you.
So, okay, good.
Yeah, of
And
course.
um, co-authoring a test, I think we did have a slide on that. And
We do.
that was, sorry, I'm looking for what number that was. It was pretty much towards the beginning, I think. I don't see it off the top of my head. Sorry, because I'm in small screen view.
You're good. I'm looking as well.
If we didn't, we can get those directions out to you for co-authoring. But
Oh, it is slide 13.
oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Completely missed it.
And do we have directions on how to export multiple CFAs or assessment scores for each student at the district level?
So let me clarify that question. So you want to export, I'm just switching to a leadership account so I can demonstrate that. So you want to take a test across, look at a test across multiple schools. So for instance, this middle school English 1 exam is a district test. 754 students took it.
So I think I'm interpreting the question that if you wanted to print, like for student Catherine, and you wanted to be able to print Catherine's assessments, multiple assessments, is there a report that will group those assessments just per student?
Oh, yes. Okay. Let's go here then. Then for an individual student and all of their data, I would go to the student profile. So that was the screen I had shown you before with the TestNav PMP. Let me make sure this student has tests. No, of course this student does not. Let's pick a different one. Okay. So student 10 has a bunch of tests here. Okay. There is a create PDF up here. If I click that, I can choose by selecting boxes. I can just choose benchmark tests. I can have detailed data. I can put a date range in it if I like. I can choose classroom test. I'm just going to randomly select here. Whatever you choose on this page, you hit create PDF. And in a minute, it's going to download all the information associated with this particular student that I've selected on the previous page. And when it opens, my Adobe is not so great on this one, but here's one test. Here's classroom test performance. I just randomly selected, but basically that would be the way. Okay, so you want all students for a particular test. Is that
Oh,
correct?
I apologize. I misunderstood the question. I'm sorry, Catherine.
Multiple tests. So from the reporting dashboard, let me see. Same thing. You would have to choose the tests individually. It wouldn't be just a mass printing of all the tests. But what I like to use is just go to summary page and there's a lot of kids in this test, so this might take a minute, but the score and response distributions, but you would need to print it individually for each test from the reporting dashboard. Does that answer your question, Steve? Is there a way to export the CSV? Okay. There are, every one of these reports has an export feature. Some of them have CSVs, some have PDFs. It's just a matter of what the actual report looks like, whether or not it comes out in a CSV. But yes, there is that option. How granular are you looking for in the report? If you're looking for, sorry, my computer does not like me today. If you're looking for item data, then you probably want to look at something in the way of the item analysis. But if you're just looking for the student and each of their scores to export, you could also use the student analysis. Now, there is a way. Yes, I was just going to say that. You can create an analysis spreadsheet. It's a custom report. It sort of looks like this. But once I run it, I can add as many tests to it as I want. And that would be, if you're doing a custom report, that would be build a new report, custom report, and you would start from this section. Okay. But yes, an analysis spreadsheet would give you multiple tests, all students taking each test. You could do it that way for sure. It is a bit of a long process, but it's longer than just clicking a button. Let's put it that way. But it, I don't know, kind of goes pretty quick if you use the filters, I think. Like I start with enrollment. I wouldn't run it for the whole school because I think that's going to get you bogged down. So for instance, if you're focusing on Algebra 1 in high school, it might be easier to just focus on, benchmark results at the high school level. And then you can just choose by course. Were you trying to add each like row by itself, maybe? Is that what was taking so long? I did it one grade level and subject at a time. Okay. If we can get you some additional directions to clarify that, if you want to email Rebecca and we can help you out with that. Custom reporting is a little bit more of an advanced topic than what we're working on here. And I would show you in your production site instead of the training site, which always sends me to various places.
Okay, so Gavin, I'm going to take back over real quick. And I know that we have lost a lot of people because we are way over time. So I completely understand, and I appreciate those of you that are still hanging with us. Just to wrap up, we do have on slide 46 Schoolnet resources, excuse me, which include a link to the training site, our YouTube channel, where all of our recorded webinars are housed. We also have a Canvas course for beginning in Schoolnet, and the Schoolnet resources here has a link to all of the quick reference documents for any Schoolnet topic you could possibly imagine, as well as slide decks from all previous presentations. So you can find all of those on slide 46 in our slide deck. And just wanted to let you all know that we only have one more webinar for this school year, and that will be in May, where we're going to talk about how to create your own technology enhanced items. And just item creation. So we just have one more in May. You can register the same way you registered for this one, or you can click the link here to register. But I do apologize for us going over time, but we thank you so much for joining us. I hope that we were able to answer your questions, those that sent it ahead of time or those that were asking us live. So we appreciate you and your participation in today's session. Any questions, you can of course reach out to me. My email address is here, or put in a ServiceNow case, and Catherine and Amanda will be happy to help you. We look forward to seeing you all in May, and possibly at the upcoming home-based meetups in May as well. Catherine and I will both be there for the Schoolnet session. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your Monday.